What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the House of Holocrons, episode 66. That's right, it's Order 66 today, and we're going over some pretty crazy clone stuff. But before we get into that, we did actually have a few really cool drops talking about clones for the Black Series and the Vintage Collection here coming up shortly. TVC is getting the HK-87, whatever, other attack droid repaint. And then finally, which a lot of us had been demanding, after the Dark Trooper for the Vintage Collection immediately went to the clearance aisle, we just want a card back Dark Trooper. We don't want the charging station, and they listened. So we're going to be getting a carded Dark Trooper, which I might pick that one up. Honestly, guys, if you want a Dark Trooper, though, they're still extreme. If you're an opener, you can get it for like $5 online right now. So if you're a box opener, just go on to Amazon and get a Dark Trooper. They're cheap. Next up,
it wasn't.
Yeah,
it was. Both of those were kind of like for TBC.
Yeah, especially for reveals. And then when you see what the Black Series got, to a degree, I understand why a lot of the Vintage Collection collectors were extremely upset. We have a 2-pack, another 2-pack announced. There's a lot of 2-packs in the Black Series here recently. We're getting a B1 Battle Droid and Phase 2 Shiny Clean Trooper.
Yeah, my thoughts on that.
Because we don't already have enough B1s.
Having an updated Phase 2 would be nice.
Yeah.
Which I think we were already getting, weren't we?
Yes, there's an updated Phase 2 clone coming out, or has recently just come out.
So we were already kind of getting something like that already.
Yep. This is a Black Series I don't get Army Builder pack.
Why are we getting a Phase 1 with the B1 with the Phase 2?
Yeah.
It just seems like it's a total letdown.
And honestly, when it comes to droids, I'm surprised we're even getting the Droideka, because it's so different looking and it's so much thicker. Because in the Black Series, like, guys, give us the spider droid, like that walking spider droid. I would put that up. I would 100% make a separatist. Like, it's so weird.
Those things are massive, aren't they?
They're not tiny. There's multiple types. There's the big, massive one that has the dishes that shoot laser, and then there's that little like crab droid.
Oh, that one's still pretty big though.
Yeah, they're not small, but like, you guys gave us a TIE fighter, and it's like we've had a TIE fighter and I think one other vehicle in Vintage or in the Black Series. That's it. That is it. So I'll give that to Vintage Collection. One of the other reasons I went over is because if you want to collect vehicles, you go to the 3.75 inch scale, because that's the only place they get them, because they're more manageable that way. I understand it. If I wanted like an LAAT, gunship for my clones in the Black Series, that thing's gonna be like the size of my desk.
Yeah, we got more photos, which I didn't send you, of. We got a Hot Toys. I know we don't typically announce Hot Toys, but we got a new Hot Toys of the
Hot Toys
Umbra
has been
Clone Trooper.
Yeah, they've been doing amazing lately. That Umbra Clone Trooper looks awesome. The different helmets, the different blasters, the different ways that you can really move this around.
Hot Toys right now. Hot Toys right now are one of the best collectors, because they give you so many options. I got the Rex, and I kept the box still because I have so many hands and little attachments that came with multiple blasters.
Yeah, you don't mind spending $200-something on it then, when you know you're getting all that extra stuff.
He came with a jetpack, even though he only wore it just for like the one episode. But I have it on him because it looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the only really good announcement, besides basically reprints, they could at least recolor the droid.
Yeah, damaged him a little something.
Was the Abyss? It's the comic.
Yes, the Last Command 4-pack.
Yeah, Last Command. Is it just the one edition with the art cover?
Yes. So. That is the one edition, and then it comes with, of course, the art cover. Now, I'm wondering how big this thing's going to be, guys. This is a Black Series 4-pack. We're getting Luke Skywalker from his Return of the Jedi look repacked, Mara Jade repacked, but with a swappable head this time instead of just like a scarfy thing. Now she has a swappable head that she can wear her scarf and goggles. And then the new figures, which only one of them is actually kind of new. We're getting Luke, that's right, we're going to Tantus in this one, who is using Obi-Wan Kenobi's, like, I think it's the third figure's body. He's using his Jedi robes, but it is a newly sculpted Mark Hamill face, which I love it because like one of the eyes is a little off center. He's got like this horrible snarl. He looks crazy, which he's supposed to. Luke was a clone made of Luke from his severed hand that was found on Bespin by the other figure, Joruus C'baoth, who was also a clone. And clones, when apparently clone them and put the Force in them, especially in Legends, they go nuts and become evil. It just always happened for some reason.
Yeah, you get 2 reprints, but you get a little fancy blue cloak with it.
Yeah, you get a fancy blue cloak and a new face for Luke. And then we have what almost looks like a Old Master Maul body. It is a open tunic with a nice red dress. Like,
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it might be, but it could still be a newer tooling. But old man head, long gray beard, long gray hair. He is reusing Palpatine's lightning hands, so those are reused. Those are the same lightning hands that you get for Palpatine. So if you have a Palpatine figure like I do, and you didn't get the cool, expensive one, now we got lightning hands. He does come with a red lightsaber too.
A lot better on him.
Yeah, they do. Joruus C'baoth is a very big one for a lot of collectors, getting this full Last Command set. No one ever thought we were going to fully see Luke and C'baoth in the collection, and we finally got him. Again, I know a lot of the Vintage Collection collectors were a little peeved because every other figure that comes out of this comic is pretty much in the Vintage Collection. We have a version of this Luke, or Dark Empire Luke kind of, that we did get the comic Black Series. And we do also have the Thrawn that comes with the cat and stuff. But it's like, this is still just... As it comes to this series and mentioned for The Last Command, the only other figures that exist are in the Vintage Collection. So you win some, you lose some. Vintage Collection gets like every cool HasLab apparently, because we didn't back the Rancor once because they made a bad Rancor. Black Series gets figures that they just don't. Like the Black Series has all of the Bad Batch, Season 1 and Season 3 and 2. TVC has Hunter. Season 1. That's it. So you got to pick and choose these battles here. I'm saying it's worth it. The 4-pack's going to be huge, though. These are still 6-inch figures. So we're talking like the thing's going to be like a fucking Bible size book.
I don't think we've gotten a price announcement either, have we?
Yes, because it is pre-orderable now. It is $89.99. It was originally priced at $90, which a lot of people paid. But don't you worry. When I pre-ordered, I got it for $1 cheaper. I don't know why. But it's a pricey one, but that comes out to about $25 per Black Series figure, which is pretty common in today's pricing. So it's not crazy, but a lot of people are a little upset. It's like, yeah, but it's like 3 old figures one has a new head.
I mean, if you don't have the figures, like buying Mara Jade, I think she's around.
I don't have Mara Jade, so that's the thing, is that's immediately made it more worth it to me.
If you don't have any of those figures, it'd be worth, especially since the artwork on it is I know we were discussing should we open it or not.
Oh my gosh, right. That's such a hard one if you want to open or not, because it actually looks really good with the 4 of them there in that one page. They have it spaced out well.
It's hard, because I have one of my favorite of the old figures that they used to put out was the comic collections.
Yes,
and they actually came with a comic most of the time, and I never opened those because it looks so good.
And they look so good.
So yeah, I wish this one came with a comic. I wish they still did that. I think it would be pretty awesome.
If it came with the comic behind them, that's not opening. Get it
it used to be a thing. I wish they did that.
Yeah. And especially because their comics are still such a big thing these days. I mean, if you want to get people into buying older Marvel comics, package them with figures. Just do a reprint.
Either that, or they could easily just reprint it.
Yeah.
I mean, they have rights to reprint it.
Yep, exactly. So that's pretty much the only major announcements. Again, I know there's that constant scale war, as they call it, between the Vintage Collection and Black Series. I just collect what I like. I don't care where it's from. Vintage Collection has some people that the Black Series doesn't have, and the Black Series has a lot of people that the Vintage Collection doesn't have. Black Series is oddly, I've always felt like, covers the movies and the shows better. Vintage Collection covers the comics and background characters really well. Like if you want to fill a cantina scene or fill Jabba's barge, Vintage Collection. That's how I got all my new recent ones that you see with my recent reviews up. Yak Face, Kithaba, Woof. Like, I've got all these new characters that are just awesome background characters, but we're not going to get that in the Black Series. But again, in the Black Series, we do have like 5 Ahsokas. Because that's another one that was pipelined, is now we get Ahsoka the White coming before too long. Yay! I'm done with Din Djarin's and Ahsoka's. Like, I love their character, but they're killing the collective.
It's the downside that we, especially since we got the Ahsoka show right after other, like they were already reprinting Ahsoka, and then we got that, and then
she dropped because of the Mandalorian series, and then she dropped because of her series, and then she keeps dropping because of her series. You know, but again, that's a very fun little thing to be like, about when in the wide world, we used to not have anything. So, hey, still good Star Wars, still happy. Continuing to really good Star Wars and really happy, we had The Bad Batch. This Wednesday, The Harbinger aired, and, guys, spoilers up ahead. If you haven't seen that episode, I highly recommend you pause the podcast, go watch it. Okay, happy to have you back. Spoilers from here on out. It was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I really think that this did a good job of cementing more of a relationship with the Batch. Crosshair and Hunter and Wrecker, like, they already seem like they're a lot tighter. Like, they're not that full cohesive unit again, but they're not constantly looking over each other's shoulders, seeing which one of them is going to backstab them, or if they can trust Crosshair and vice versa. Because they have a common enemy in this episode. They have someone they all don't like.
From the trailer, we knew this was going to eventually come, and we kind of figured it would be this episode, and it was.
The Queen is returned!
Not how we thought she would show up, but true. I mean,
I honestly thought they were going to be
I'm not disappointed
rescuing
either.
her. Yeah, I enjoyed every single bit of the aspect of Asajj Ventress. That's right. It's her episode, everybody. I mean, and not only her episode, it's setting up for so much more stuff. But we'll get into that later. They
represented her perfectly, for sure.
100%.
She's still cranky and mad about everything, but it's like you realize that she's definitely changed. She's not.
She has a soft
the evil
spot.
Person she was.
It's not that she's soft or loving. It's just that when she sees a small child that like she was, who's being, chased and abandoned and thrown around, she's like, all right, I'll help because I don't like that this happened to me, so it shouldn't happen to anyone.
Yeah, and I think there's some subtlety there that we have to kind of infer.
Yeah.
Basically with, she shows up, they ask her what she wants to know. I mean, she has answers for them. She says, well, why do you want to know that? They basically, they don't want to tell her, and then Omega just blurts it out because she's tired of, waiting. And then she tells them, she said, basically, it's midichlorians. Well, she doesn't say midichlorian until the end, but she's like, it's everybody has it.
I love it because she's like, it's if you're really strong with it, you could probably use the Force. And you just hear him, I could be a Jedi? No, fucking shut up.
I like when they ask her if she's a Jedi and she says no.
No.
That's true.
She never once lied to him.
Yeah, we got to see the yellow lightsaber, which is awesome. But yeah, she offers to test Omega after Omega asks. Yeah. She definitely has a soft spot for Megan, and for what you pointed out, that's definitely true. That she probably sees a version. It's like she sees a side of her in there, but it's like the side that she could have been if she got taken by nice people.
And she wants that for somebody. Live vicariously.
Well, and that's what we find out at the end when she denies her. She says, "Oh, you don't have it." And we find out they're like, yeah, you're lying. We find out why, because she's like, yeah, don't want you. If we did, I'd have to take her, or somebody'd have to take her to training. And
Asajj is every way that I wanted her to be in this episode, because again, it starts off with them having a conflict. She's not going to just tell them, oh yes, here's my name and address. You can find me here if you need me, and I've done this for the past 12 years. Because not only because, well, for one, as a Force user, you can't trust anyone in this world right now, but also as Asajj, she doesn't trust anyone anyway. So why would she just tell these random clones who she is, where she's from? And they eventually find out. While she's testing Omega, that's the big conflict that stirs up in the back is Hunter comes back and he's like, or no, Crosshair pretty much comes back and is like, yep, found her. And yeah, it's Asajj's of interest. They now know, oh, cool, it's a fucking war criminal, like evil assassin. She sends Omega away on her second journey to go fetch a pedal from the top of Pabu, pretty much. Literally just to shoo her off. And then says, like, what? We're going to have a problem here? She's force sensitive. Of course she could tell when they're thinking about her.
Well, I mean, it's probably quite obvious, too. And
yeah. She knows what she's doing.
Handling them pretty well, which, I mean, arguably, I think it should have been a tougher fight, but probably because of timing. It would make sense she would still win, though. She was trained by Dooku. She's pretty proficient.
She's been trained by an elite fighter to be an elite fighter, and then had to kill elite fighters.
Yeah, and she has experience killing Jedi's clones.
Yeah.
And but man, she does.
Fucks
one of my favorite
up.
thing is she's like, look, you know I did was wrong. I'm not saying that I didn't, but we were both used by the same people, and they don't really grasp what she's saying at that point. But I really like that line. That
I love it.
She realizes,
Yeah, and that's it's one of those things too where the dad in those three dudes kicked in so hard they couldn't like shut the hell up and listen to Asajj. They were just so like, no, we have to protect Omega. And it's like, no. I don't think you understand. With Asajj is the safest place for Omega, period.
Well, that's where she kind of changes her mind too.
Yeah.
She sees how attached to her they are,
and
she didn't want to take that from. And that goes to the question: was she going to take them? I think yes. Originally, I think she probably might be working with the path. The fact that she came all the way out there,
right?
I doubt she went all that way just to say what Incount was.
Yeah,
I think she has something to do with. She definitely not working with the Empire.
Oh, hell no, yeah.
So the only other thing she could be with the path.
Yeah, and with Quinlan. Yeah, she's working with Quinlan because they're still married and stuff. And
yeah, because the fact she came all the way out to basically middle of nowhere and even bothered to warn them. So that means she cares. She cared to test her.
Because she knew if she had a crazy high M count or if she was already super force sensitive, then she's like, no, she has to come with me. But I think also the big thing is she thankfully sees that Omega doesn't have the heart of a Jedi. Like, Omega is very caring, and she will do a lot of things to make everyone around her happy, to make sure they're having a good time, but she's not so selfless like a Jedi that she will put herself into harm's way all the fucking time. Like, she'll you know, for a clone, she's got the most Jedi heart, so it makes sense that her M count was this high, and we called it her affinity with animals. That was literally the big test that they then eventually give. Asajj takes Omega out into the middle of the water after Hunter and all them have calmed down and been like, all right, she's making points. She's not here to obviously, she would have just killed us all if she had the chance. Omega even tells him that. She's like, wouldn't she have killed you then, Hunter, when she had the chance? Because she literally had her lightsaber like in your face.
Force choking him.
Yeah, picking up one by force choke, a lightsaber in the other. I was like, that's such an Asajj moment. She's like, I don't want to fight you, but if you make me, I promise I can win.
But yeah, you could tell. She's and she did it the smart way because she could have easily said, "Yeah, you do have it, but I can't. You're too old to train you or something." She could have easily said something, but the fact that she told her no because she could tell, based on her blurting out information and begging to be tested, that if she told her that she had affinity with the Force,
she'd be
and
practicing.
If she left her, she'd be practicing.
Yeah.
Make her so the fact she told her no is so she could say so Omega doesn't continue to wonder, and it also would make a conflict down the road. Be like, hey, should I leave them or should I stay with them? Should I seek out Asajj or something like that?
And that's why, again, like you said, that's what Asajj tells them the whole time. She's like, if you want her to learn anything else about this, you three have to go away forever because you're distractions. Yeah. She literally refers to them as distractions the whole episode. And that's what Omega says when she comes down to meet her. She's like, where are the others? And she's like, oh, you told me to come here with no distractions. So, like, even Omega would kind of know, like, I feel like Omega will kind of get the idea. If I were to take this, I have to give up being a part of the Bad Batch. And she's not going to do that. She's not going to give up on Echo, Rex, Hunter, Crosshair. Like, Omega loves them all. That is her family. That is like her unit.
You know,
even if she did leave, it would be such a strain on her training.
Yeah. Well, it's funny as we get some parallels with Mandalorian, with this aspect, and honestly, I feel like this handled it a bit better than the Mandalorian did. But I imagine they really wanted to add Luke for.
Yeah, I could. Yeah. You know what? That's actually a really good way to put this. I like Asajj metering out Omega more than Luke did to Grogu.
Yeah. I think she my guess is Luke was just so desperate for Apprentice that he jumped on it so quickly. But yeah, Asajj really, she saw through the situation way quicker than Luke did. And I think them handling it probably is better for her in the long run than it would be for Grogu. Because he's, you get the couple years of training and you add that conflict now, and it's just going to add more to the problem.
And at least with Grogu, one, he's so stupid powerful, like someone that strong in the Force, you have to train them or they will fuck up eventually and accidentally do something. And I think that was the other thing with Omega. Like, Asajj was like, well, if rocks and things aren't levitating around you when you try to concentrate, then obviously I don't have to worry about you, like, accidentally force choking someone to death.
Yeah, I mean, we also don't know. We don't know what her count was.
Yeah.
She could have a high affinity, maybe just not. I think partially that watching her do that, she doesn't know how to concentrate.
True.
And so, I think, we've seen her do it before, but we don't know how level of like concentration she actually was.
And that's another thing that Asajj brings up again. She's like, you're not trained. You're a soldier. You're not trained to be a Force user. You're trained by these bunch of lug nuts back here to shoot stuff and blow things up and ask questions later.
I think her affinity with animals kind of shows she has a pretty strong.
Yeah.
She's able to really connect with animals so quickly.
With that last test we talked about a bit, Asajj takes Omega out into the water and uses the Force to quell up some sea life. And I almost wanted them to give Omega a moment longer, and like after Asajj had done something, and actually she tries, and one shows up or two show up, just to really cement, okay, is it a strong Force affinity? Is it like Asajj says, is it an affinity or can you use it? Because it's different. Like, she's like, no, you can you can have a Force affinity. That doesn't mean you're a Jedi. That doesn't mean you're a Force user. It just means you're going to be luckier than a lot of people. That's it.
Yeah, it just means that using the Force or learning to use it is easier for you than it is for other people. The more affinity, it's like she's basically like a natural talent.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean she's going to be the best Jedi. It just means she has a leg up.
Yeah.
Or would be a leg up if you have natural affinity. Think of like Anakin.
Yep.
He had a really high affinity.
It was easier for him to call upon the Force. I wish there had been a moment where she had like tried though and it did something, but
well, it could have been the amount of life that showed up so quickly. It could have been they were already there because of her, and then Asajj just kind of gave him the push. Or because there was a ton of them that showed up
because of her, and then Asajj put her feelers out, and the big guy shows up because we have this giant Kraken enemy.
Big guy could have been from Omega. It just maybe took longer to get. Could have maybe took longer to get there.
I could see that. Whereas Asajj is like trying to bring up like peace, harmony, like good feelings. Omega's just pumping stuff out.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, like I said, it could have been she could have had such a strong connection that it was far away, and it took because that thing had to be deep underwater.
Oh, that big, yeah.
So it had to take a bit for it to get up there, for starters. So it could have been just that's how long it took to reach the surface.
So we have a massive fight that breaks out, of course. Asajj is
giant like squid thing.
Yeah, squid turtle. Asajj saves Omega from drowning. The bat shows up, shooting the hell out of this thing, and then Asajj is like, "They're making it worse. Make them go away." It happens. It's one of those same things. Like the whole episode is Omega going, "Stop it, Hunter," and Hunter going, "No, we're here to save you." And then Asajj goes, "Oh my God, stop!" And he's like, "Fine." So they go away, they stop shooting at the creature, and Asajj does what she knew she could do. Calms the beast down. It has this really cool effect where like you can see these like colors flowing through the creature. And then they become friends.
It was good to see her do that because she wouldn't normally do something like that in her past self.
Oh yeah,
so
she would have just killed it.
It's showing that she's got some light side, more connection light side now.
Yep.
I like the fact that she hasn't like fully. I like that she's the middle, not fully Jedi and not fully Sith.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fitting for her personality. Yeah.
Like, because that's my thing is I think, and that's why I love Asajj. Yes, because that's more fitting. It was never truly evil. She was just abused and neglected and didn't know what to do with her life. And then when she found love, when she found Quinlan, when she found purpose, she was able to go, all right, cool. Like, she's never been really evil. She's never been really good. But that's what the Force is, balance itself. The Force is not everything has to end happy. Like, that's a true Force user to me, someone like Asajj.
We're seeing more and more of that with Star Wars now.
Cal Kestis, Ezra Bridger, now we got Asajj Ventress. Like, if those three somehow make it into Rey's Jedi Order, they're going to be the best Jedi ever, because they'll be like, no, that's not what a Jedi is. That's not what a Jedi is. Jedi aren't about taking up your lightsaber and attacking enemies to defend the weak. It's about just defending the weak. Like, you don't have to even have the damn lightsaber. That's not the point.
And we forget Jedi is just an order.
Yeah.
It doesn't, there's other Force user groups out there. And I'm glad we see more of that, where the balance of the Force is actually kind of in the middle. We see more and more reference to that. I know they had the old George Lucas quote when he said the balance of the Force is actually just the light side. I'm glad that they kind of ignored that quote, because it doesn't make sense at all.
Right. Then what's the dark side even doing? If the dark side isn't inherently evil, then why does it exist if light is balance? But okay.
So we see some more of that with Ahsoka. So I feel like that's the way, especially the writers with Dave Filoni, and then also the High Republic are also kind of going that route as well with the Way Seekers. And I'm glad that that's a thing, because it should be. And when we get to High Republic, you kind of see more of, because you get the kind of the opposite of you get with the Galactic Civil War, where the Sith are kind of in charge. Sith are kind of in charge, and then you get the kind of the opposite, where like the Sith are in hiding, where the Jedi are in charge going into the early Republic. But you can see what the downside of that. It's not all. And that's also kind of, you can kind of see it as the balance shifting, because you already have the balance shifting with the amount of good users, but they don't ever get involved. But the more and more they get involved, it's almost as if the stronger the dark side gets.
Yeah.
As if the Force is kind of forcing a counterbalance. And and so that's, it almost tipped and it did tip over too much on one scale. And that's how we got, Sidious and everything else. That might be reading too much into it, but that's kind of how things are currently written, though.
Right.
So.
But it was an excellent way to start dealing with this balance of the Force, with but also a great introduction to Asajj's new character, to who she's become, to people who didn't read the books, to people who didn't know where the story was going to go after Clone Wars. This is a great way for them to be like, oh wow, she's changed a lot. And she has. Like, she's been through some hell and high water, especially if you guys haven't read Dark Disciples. I highly recommend it. That's the book everyone's complaining about, that the show didn't do a good job of explaining why she didn't, spoilers, die like she was supposed to at the end of the book.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about it, she doesn't know these clones. She's already secretive because of the Empire, and she even talks. Honestly, she showed her Force too much. To the clones, she should have been more secretive about it. But the fact that she just met these people, she doesn't know them. She has no reason to explain. You don't just go up to somebody, especially that was arguably the enemy previously. You go back, 5 or 6 years, and you would have been fighting each other.
And in today's world, you still are to those.
Actually, it wasn't even 5 years. It was a couple.
Yeah, and there are clones today still out doing Empire stuff. So she's like, no, I'm not going to trust any of you. What if this is just a trap to get me?
Even if you did, it's not like you just go up to a random person and you just Especially if it's like a contract for like for a sale thing, or like
Yeah.
somebody's paying you for a job and like, oh yeah, I died, but for this reason I survived or came back to life.
It'd be like if you went up to your local car
And you'd be
salesman
like,
and decided to
maybe.
just like give him your whole fucking backstory, and he's like, "Are you here to buy a car or not?"
I mean, the car salesman's a bad example because they would definitely listen to you because they
Oh,
just
they
trying to get on your good
yeah, they'd
side.
listen just like Hunter would. He'd be like, "Yes, oh, Now what's an M count for fuck's sake? I don't care."
They nobody, not even like normal people
On the
don't just go
street,
up and give your entire life story to a complete stranger, especially at the business contract. It's not normal,
right?
especially a person with her personality. It would conflict, but she's not an open book at all.
Right, and what's she gonna
Um,
do? Tell everyone that, oh yeah, and my boyfriend slash ex lover, whatever he is, Quinlan Voss, the other Jedi that's totally alive. She can't tell people that.
yeah, I was disappointed he wasn't like sitting in the cockpit.
Oh, dude,
guy.
had they both been there?
Like that's. I'm hoping that this isn't one of those things that they just introduce a character and we never see him again.
Yeah,
Star Wars has done that, but they stopped doing that.
yeah, they've gotten a lot
Hopefully,
better
not.
about giving us.
I'm hoping with Ahsoka that's not one of those things that happens with as well. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact they introduced this character, it could be many things. You could see some future a show. I know you mentioned maybe just a later Bad Batch episode she shows back up in.
Dude, I'm so
We can even
hopeful.
hope for a live action version of her some way or
That would be
another.
dope. But I would fully expect another show to come out now, with the voice actress pretty much mentioning that, yes, they did not go into detail about how she survived from the book in this episode because it had nothing to do with the episode. But in the future, things will be maybe further explained and talked about. AKA, that tells me Asajj Ventress is totally coming back in another media somewhere, somehow. And maybe, again, maybe like so many people were clamoring for a Kenobi season 2 just about the path, just about them smuggling Jedi and Force sensitives and saving them. Here you go. Here it is. Here's
Yeah.
Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Voss save orphans.
Besides, that would be one way to save this show, because like I said, people that like Obi-Wan, which you are one of them.
Yep.
And the reason I don't like it, the show in whole was a letdown.
Mm-hmm.
There was and fantastic moments.
Yep.
But they were short, and there was like the one episode. There's like I think there's only like 2 parts that were like so great, and then everything else was, hiding in a trench coat, just goofiness with Vader,
and a lot of great characters that did
and,
not get any explanation or like well-deserved arcs. I guess the other part is there were too many characters in the Obi-Wan series that we all wanted stories from instead of just Obi-Wan.
We gloss pie the Inquisitors.
Yeah.
Like, these are the Inquisitors. They did this cool thing. Okay, now we're gonna focus on this Inquisitor.
Yeah.
As she ignores everything that she just learned, and then teaser maybe going to the light side, but also using the dark side to keep herself alive again.
Yeah.
It just was. They could have done things a lot better with writing. It just had horrible writing done, horrible short done, horrible writing. Honestly, as much as I love the actress of Leia, I felt like it was very unneeded to have Leia. I think that stole from the Obi-Wan aspect. I think the show could have been a lot better.
There was a lot of not Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan show.
It didn't make sense why Obi-Wan was with her. Or he just leaves Luke when he's supposed to be guarding him, and then just like focuses on Leia because she does know Obi-Wan, but I feel like she would know him at a later age, and not like. So that part seemed kind of weird. The actress was fantastic. She did a great character, but there were so many dumb things written with the Leia aspect, and it's not her fault.
Yeah.
It's the writing.
But it seems
like trench coat is
like one of the biggest things they'll do in Star Wars lately is they'll make a oopsie and they'll be like, oh, a lot of people didn't like that. But here, let's put subdiverted media and other things and make that make more sense.
Yeah, it just felt like the writers were like thinking they were writing the show for 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like there was really terrible writing. It was really basic. It was like, this is this is that. ooh, look this color, and then that's why I stick on to things with a little bit more stronger writing, which is not normal for Star Wars. We didn't really get good compelling writing for Star Wars, like show content until we got later seasons of Clone Wars and some Rebels, and before that, even the movies. There's a lot of bad writing with the movies, and that was one of the fault of George Lucas.
Yeah. At the end of the day, he still almost always tried to make more of a child's movie than his fans were. But that's still his thing, and it worked out to a degree. But the future, though, with this could still be so bright because we'll get maybe that new under media from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series where we'll get to learn why Quinlan put his fucking name on a wall. What is that going to do for anyone? And then, like, we have, so Asajj and Quinlan can go do their thing. And if Finnick is working with them, that'd be cool too, because she's the one that gave Asajj the tip, like, hey, these guys are asking about M count. I thought she was selling them out to Cad Bane hardcore.
But we start seeing her, especially in Bad Batch, kind of start shifting over more towards less evil. And because she kind of, when we see her in the Book of Boba Fett, she makes some decisions that aren't inherently evil. She makes some decent. She cares about some of the people. She asks sometimes, but she's not Cad Bane level.
Yeah.
And so we see her progress. So yeah, it would make sense. Well, the fact that she contacted Asajj and not Cad.
Yeah.
For starters, she had to know that Asajj was working for the Path at that point.
Yeah, or because if she hasn't turned her in either, meaning she's not working hand in hand with the Empire, or she would have just turned Asajj in and been like, "There's a Force sensitive." And Palpatine would have loved to have gotten his hands on her again.
Yeah, I'm sure the bounty on Omega is really high right now.
I bet it's ridiculously high.
So the fact that she didn't want to claim that bounty and she contacted somebody that knows she doesn't work with the Empire, and also in a way, even if she did work with the Empire, she's essentially just given up a ton of money at that point.
But to me, honestly, I feel like if Asajj does continue in Star Wars, I hope it's not ever live action. Live action stuff is gorgeous, but she's so iconic in her shape and character, her voice. I don't know who they would get to play a live action Ventress that wouldn't disappoint a little in some regard. And I bet it wouldn't disappoint. It just
I could see that. Yeah.
She's one of the few characters we have that only exists in animated styling. Only. That's the only time we've ever seen her.
Yeah, it's funny because she's kind of a replacement of somebody we would have gotten. Just kind of a last minute character. And if you know the history of her character, because she was supposed to be, it was supposed to be somebody else. Yeah, I mean, it's great seeing her.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It would be cool to see her in live action. It would be a totally different voice actor and actor in general. And I don't know who I'd have play her.
That is a hard one to cast.
Probably, I mean, one of the best ones I would do for the person, the look-alike, I can pick that one out, but she doesn't sound like her at all. I can't think of her name, but the actress that plays, I think of her name. We'll get back with you. She plays a lot of alien characters.
Okay, that's usually a good one for that kind of stuff. Oh, like Gamora? That lady?
No, her sister.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yes, I get who you're talking about, though. She's a nice little Scottish lass, though.
Yeah. She doesn't have the... Well, I mean, I guess she technically does with the sister. She has a deep voice with her.
She could... honestly, now that you're mentioning that, the lady that plays Nebula...
there you go.
Could very likely be an Asajj Ventress live action. I could see that.
She's a very good actress at playing aliens. She's done several. Karen Gillan.
Yes, Karen Gillan. She was recently on a...
But Nebula is a very good comparison to Asajj in a way.
Yeah.
She's got the similar body shape. She's got
attitude.
She's used to wearing painted anyways. So
right.
If they did live action, that's who I would.
That's not a bad one, actually. That's a good one. But I would still think it'd be weird to see her live action.
I don't know if we'll get a show based on her. I don't feel like she has the personality to really sell a show.
Well, that's why you need Quinlan. Like, it has to be Quinlan and Asajj in the Path. It can't just be Asajj. Yeah, that'd just be a lot of grumpy old lady.
I really wonder how they would do Quinlan, because we've never really gotten Quinlan. Um, and what we have of him
Mm-hmm.
is I don't know, it's weird. Even in the book, when we have the book version of Quinlan, I feel like it's not accurate. I don't know. I just always pictured him as very chaotic, very loud, and very just all over the place.
I mean, that's kind of to me that's what he envisioned from Dark Disciples and then the Clone Wars before then. He's because of his psychometry and stuff. He's just like, look, bro, I touch stuff, I see things that I don't want to see. I'm connected to people I don't want to be connected to. I don't like any of this. I'm better
Yeah,
out there. I don't want to sit here and meditate. I'm going out there.
yeah. He's a wild child for sure.
Yes. But he's the wild child that like did it the right way, and he's not like I'm not setting fires to stuff, but fire's pretty cool. I mean, I'll watch it, but I won't, let it burn the house down. I feel
Yeah.
like Quinlan being such a chaos and more, fun and lighthearted, plus Asajj being a grumpy old lady 24/7, 365. Like,
Them somehow balancing each other
bro,
out
their relationship in Dark
instead of
Disciple is
egging each
so
other on.
good. I love their relationship in Dark Disciple so much. It's so good.
Yeah, and most people don't know when we bring up the Clone Wars because there's some part with it, and
Mm-hmm.
he actually was brought to the dark side
Yeah.
by Asajj.
And
So
Dooku.
he's all over the place. So yeah, it's interesting. The path at this point is almost seems like it's led by people who would take in a dark side user too.
Yeah. And that's the
That
other thing. That's
they
like,
don't believe in. They're not Jedi. They're
mm-hmm.
just Force users.
And I like
As
that.
long as
Like,
they don't start wearing robes and like have like handprints or whatever
right.
the blue makeup or whatever I forgot what it was
So the
called.
three
Or
squiggly lines.
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, the 3 lines. As long as they
Pass
don't
with the
start
open
doing
hand.
that, I'm good.
Yeah, don't
Because
become the path with the open hand.
they call themselves the path as well. And each time you say the path, I just start cringing
Yeah, you're just like,
inside.
no, crazy cult, force eaters. Ah. It's gonna be fun to see what happens in the future. I hope it isn't the last we've seen of Ventress, but if it was, I mean, it's not gonna be. There's no way in hell it is because of how open it was and stuff. But if for some reason it takes like another year or 2 years, I'm not gonna be that. I can
see a comic for sure.
Oh, a comic, yeah.
I can see a comic. I can see how they do a comic kind of retelling the novel, but in canon form.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, how she is, and then we've got Quinlan being mentioned, there's not much conflicting with the novel at this point.
Right.
So I feel like because her look is based on the novel and aspects.
Yep.
So I could see.
Or that what is it? There's that one episode of the Clone Wars that never aired.
Well, it combines both looks. Yeah. The Clone Wars look and the novel look.
She's so hot with hair. I love Ventress with hair. It makes her so much hotter.
I think they will. I mean, it would be dumb that they wouldn't do a comic that would kind of just make the story canon at that point. Just they wouldn't have to change much. And I think they were
don't
smart.
Have to change anything. Just be like, okay, well, after her death, when she was laid in the waters in Dathomir, she fucking came back. Like she literally says in the show, Mother Talzin didn't give me that many more extra lives, or something like that. Like she literally hints that Mother Talzin gave her extra lives. So like, there you go. There's your answer right there. Night Sister magic brought her ass back to life.
Yeah. I mean, we've gotten stuff about it before about them bringing back to life. And I could see that Dave Filoni's like, hey, we get this good story already. Just use it. People love it. It doesn't have much conflicting. I mean, there's some confliction with Dooku at the time setting, but you could easily rewrite some of it to like fit canon without changing much. And yeah, it's like why would we rewrite something or change something if we're gonna bring this cool character back? And that was a smart idea to try to bring people into the Bad Batch.
Well, not only that though, but like my wife wants it so bad, and I love the idea. If Asajj gets to meet Merrin, so we have the 2 last Night Sisters, that are both dating extremely reckless Jedi that have fallen to the dark side at one point in their life, if not more. And they can just have these moments where they just get to talk about having to date a golden retriever with dark tendencies.
That would be interesting.
It'd be so fun.
I don't know how they would do it.
Well, I mean, Asajj is only like in her 30s or something by Bad Batch, so by the time of Cal Kestis and Marin, that's still the Empire is in control.
Yeah, they haven't brought any of those people onto,
which is stupid.
Yeah.
We have two Night Sisters left. We had 3. She died by Ahsoka. We have 2 Night Sisters left, and we have 3 more coming from Peridia. But
with Ahsoka, this is the closest we've ever got to connecting a game story to the actual story.
But it's just like we only have a handful of Night Sisters. Use them. Like, I would be remiss if Asajj or Marin or any of the other Night Sisters aren't fucking mentioned in season 3 and then the movie of Mandalorian where they deal with Thrawn and his army. Like, they gotta at least talk about him.
I do like that we're starting to get a more focus on Night Sisters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's kind of as a way of like saying, instead of being like, oh, there's these Sith people that have been hiding. Night Sisters is more of a canon way of doing it without, just like this planet where the Sith was sitting here. So that part's cool, and I think that was very smart of them to do that.
Yes.
They're almost slowly pushing it so hard that I guess they may be the main villain coming up soon. If not the Night Sisters, we mentioned the ancient race that started the Night Sisters.
Yes.
Well, he didn't really start. He introduced a lot of the dark side to them,
and then took them to Dathomir.
So I feel like it's still slowly it's slowly entering all the media.
Yeah.
Because even the High Republic is starting to get a version of a Night Sister.
True. The Acolyte will have a witch coven, so it could be something along those lines. And I'm down for that. I would love if Rey's main villain is like a Night Sister order that went super crazy evil. Because like the Night Sisters themselves aren't good by any measure of the means, but they're more like the highest bidder determines what's good.
Well, I'll tell you how it's smart. So having him as the final villain, especially for Rey, would be the catalyst of being, because a lot of these movies, and it's a big writer thing to like one up you every time.
Yeah.
But if you want to one up yourself without being very cheeky about it, and then also it'd be smart to do it because you're starting to introduce it. So these people that only stick to movies are like, hey, this is a cool villain. Where is he from?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's in this video game. Let's buy a video game. So you're making video game sales.
Yeah.
You also have people going back to like Ahsoka, even Clone Wars and other stuff. Any mention of the Dathomir? Who the Dathomir Witch is? I don't know this stuff because I didn't watch the Clone Wars. Now I got to watch the Clone Wars because I really like this film.
Or like, the Zepho stuff in Ahsoka makes you then go like, well, what's this Jedi Fallen Order stuff? Oh, there's a Night Sister in there. Marin? That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think introducing it in the Clone Wars would be awesome. And not the Clone Wars. What they're doing with Ahsoka and they're doing with Thrawn.
Yeah.
I don't want Thrawn to be the main villain. I think Thrawn should be over with the...
Thrawn has to be over pretty soon, or else there's no way.
No
way. Yeah, because Palpatine would have then used him. If he knew that the Chimera and a Night Sister army of undead troopers was alive, Palpatine would have immediately grabbed that and been like, come to me, you're my assets.
I think it would be good to kind of introduce how powerful they are with the movie. Be that as the new main threat, that Thrawn takes over the rebuilding empire and controls them, and introduces the power of the the Dathomir Witches, but doesn't really use them. Once he gets hold of the empire, he's like puts them in the back burner. Like, thanks for everything you did, and I like your magic, but what's your magic compared to a couple Star Destroyers and some battalions of stormtroopers? I'm good. Right. I know how to use these. I don't know how to use you. I appreciate it.
I can calculate my success. Your shit, I can't calculate.
Into hiding, and then they reawaken the ancient Sith guy, and we
Well,
maybe we get some of that with Ahsoka season 2 type thing, and
there's so much for there to happen, because even if they don't reawaken that Zepho who taught them all this dark side stuff, the Night Sisters themselves have been so fucked recently in history, literally genocided. I could easily see them coming back and being like, we're out for blood now.
Well, they've always been kind of involved, but they never had the push to go, to take over, to do something.
But nearly being wiped out as a species.
Some of them actually have the power equivalent of a pretty powerful Sith.
Oh yeah, Mother Talzin was the one thing that Palpatine feared most out of like the Clone Wars era. He was like, no, that's why he's like, she's a problem.
The fact she can make Savage, I mean,
Savage, yeah, same thing.
That she could make more. She just wasn't. What I'm saying is they're not ambitious enough. I think if they brought back the Zepho, I think that would be the push. Like they start getting like whispers in their head, and they start recruiting, or they start expanding, or they're making soldiers.
Well, especially this guy, because the Zepho was exiled to Peridia for creating a empire.
Yeah.
So he's literally the perfect candidate for I am back and I'm in charge.
I think it would be fantastic, a villain. It would make sense. It would be
and
great
it's older
conflict.
than the Sith. Like this is an ancient evil that goes beyond the Sith Order. And he could tell, I remember the first great schism. Those weaklings.
And that'd be also a great introduction of some of them. If I doubt they'll do it in the movie that's coming out, the early Jedi stuff.
Right. Oh my god!
It should be introduced.
There's so many perfect little Easter eggs, though. Like you can be like, yes, I once trained lightsabers with Jedi Master Ajunta Paul, and we're all gonna lose our minds. He said the name.
Yeah, I just think if they really want to, like, it would sell products that are already out, because it would make fans want to go back, and even if they played the game, like I played the game back on PS5, and we're a couple years later, like, but I don't have the game. I'm gonna re-buy it on PC because I want to re-experience and refresh myself on that stuff like that. And also, it's just like how do you one up without just. If you went up with being in canon and not just fully spitting out, I think he's the best option. On top of that, I think fans would love it. And then there's not a ton about him. He's very vague. Yes. So you could write so much into his character.
And the last few minutes, just to kind of, it piggybacks off what we talked about with Asajj and with this character. Star Wars doesn't owe anybody a huge explanation or expose before they introduce a character or reintroduce a character. There's been a bit of discourse on the internet, because there always is. It happens. I'm not even upset about that. It always happens. There's always going to be some. Over people who are just like, well, why wasn't it explained to me why Asajj was able to come back? Like we said earlier, guys, in Asajj's character, what would make her talk to these random strangers about when she died and came back to life? Nothing. But it's the same with like the Zepho or these ancient enemies. If they do bring in a Zepho and these ancient Dathomirians as main villains in this next big movie, that's your problem for not watching Ahsoka, for never hearing about Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor. Like, that's your problem, bro. Like, I'm sorry, but there should not, and I'm happy that Star Wars doesn't do this. We don't need hand-holding. Like, literally, A New Hope. You fought in the Clone Wars, and we never heard about the Clone Wars again until 2000 and something.
But when we do get hand-holding, it's one of the worst writing we've ever gotten.
Yes.
Let's say it, because we've had hand-holding, and it happens in the prequels, and it happens in some of the stuff related to prequels, and it's terrible. And the sequels, we've gotten some in the sequels, and it's terrible. It's terrible writing in general.
Yes. If they are catering to you as a fan and not catering to the story as a creator, it fucks it up always. It's fan favor never has made anything better, or like it is literally, it exists to make crap okay.
In the end, most of us would write a terrible story of Star Wars.
Yeah,
I know, because I read some of your stories online.
Oh man, some of those amazing things. Mike today was sending me some of the most atrociously amazing Star Wars hot takes and theories I've ever seen in my entire life. And they were accompanied by equally terrifying AI images. It was horribly amazing.
Yeah, and surprisingly, some of the anti-High Republic people really like Palpatine and want him back again. I don't understand that.
Everyone wants to use the meme, somehow Palpatine returned, and be mad, but then the second they're given an inch of space, they just, Chief Palpatine, shove him in there.
But it's like everybody's idea of what the Sith is like Old Republic or Palpatine.
Yeah.
Or Plagueis, sorry.
Yeah, there can't be anyone else besides Tenebrous, Plagueis, and Palpatine, or Darth Malgus.
But yeah, I mean, we got a good episode. I will say that if they wouldn't introduce an early plot for the Dathomir and witches, the best person to find it on their journey through discovering themselves in the galaxy would be Asajj. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be a good way to turn that out. I mean, can you imagine how great the story would be when she finds out she's not alone anymore? Like, just that. She would then race to find them, try to find this coven, find her people, which would explain so many things. And like, they could tell us about how they split from Peridia to Dathomir and talk about that Zepho a little bit more.
But I just see she'd be horrified when she finds out what they're trying to do and they want to stop them.
Exactly. She'd be like, no, we're not doing this again. We're not helping the bad guys anymore.
And it's like, yeah, but she already did, is upset what happened with Sidious. Because
and they have to know, because those three other Night Sisters literally summoned the Blade of Talzin. So they had to know that the Empire killed her. Grievous and Palpatine sent Grievous and the army to destroy Mother Talzin.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So why like, if she could just be like, hey, what are you doing?
I think... And if we go to the books, she knows that the kill order from Dooku was from Palpatine. So.
Yep. And like we talked about, she told the batch we were both used by the same guy, which is what Maul ends up thinking too. Like, Maul had that same idea when he's lying, like that. He meant that when he was talking to Ahsoka about, come with me, we can stop all of this from happening if we just take care of Palpatine.
Yeah, I watched a deal about somebody talking about it. I was like, yeah, I forget that Maul literally tried several times to tell him about what Palpatine was up to, but nobody had listened to him.
Yeah, they're like, no, you're a bad guy. And he's like,
I mean, I wouldn't listen to him either, but because he was crazy.
He was pretty crazy. But yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff that gets very well written if you just let the story tell itself, everyone. I know we all have things we want. I get it. I want to see Plo Koon. I want to see Bura Yaga. I have all these wants and needs. It would be amazing to get to see Sith pureblood in Star Wars live action. But if it doesn't make sense in the story, I don't want it.
Well, and don't be upset because nothing in this episode contradicted what happened in the book.
Right.
If anything, a lot of stuff, at least she subtly hinted to things that reinforce that the book is actually canon.
Yeah.
So you could at least think for that.
Yeah, and the authors have straight up said they're not doing anything that's going to decanonize the book. Dark Disciples is still just as secure as it always was. She just didn't die at the end. They literally said, we placed her body into the dark ichor, and the green light took her. They left, like, I wouldn't be surprised if in that book that was specifically left just kind of ambiguous in the end there to be like, oh yeah, guess what, guys, she came back. I mean, ancient Night Sister magic felt the first Night Sister get buried after God knows how many years when none of them would have been around. Who knows how much that dark side nexus in Dathomir could have literally healed her.
And if an Inquisitor could do it, she could do it.
Right, exactly. Not only an Inquisitor who was a child the first time they did it, she's a fully grown, well-trained Sith assassin in a nexus of power.
Anakin is a terrible eradicator of Jedi.
Oh, dude,
Apparently,
he's
there's
so
so
bad.
many Jedi.
He's so bad at his job. He couldn't protect them. He couldn't destroy them. He couldn't take his kids. He couldn't save Padme. There's not a single thing that guy did except for like he couldn't even kill Palpatine.
He's missed so many Jedi. Not only that, but there's several Jedi that are appearing that were at the temple where he was there for sure.
The fact that he couldn't kill Grogu.
3 survivors. We have what, three or four survivors from the temple itself.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
and we don't even
two
know.
of them were children.
2 were children, and they made it.
The one was in a space stroller the whole time.
Got away on a speeder bike with Keller and Beck, and nobody thought anything about it. They were like, "Oh, we don't gotta hunt them down. It's fine." It's fine. He cared only about Obi-Wan. Literally, like, especially after the Obi-Wan series, you really, like, that was one of the things I think they did really good in that, was re-cementing. Darth Vader was obsessed with finding Obi-Wan. Like, obsessed. So...
Yeah, you see that in episode 4 when he finds out Obi-Wan's... Because he drops everything.
Yep. So, and that's the kind of storytelling we want in Star Wars. We want it to be congruent. We want it to make sense the whole way through. We don't need clickbait. We don't need fanfare. We just want Star Wars to be Star Wars. And I'm so excited for that. I'm excited for the future. Hopefully we're going to get more Asajj Ventress. I would be decimated if we didn't. And they left it so just open. They're going to. There's going to be something. If she doesn't return in this Bad Batch Season 3, she will return some other time.
I don't see how they not do a comic series for her.
That is a great one to actually do as a comic, because then you don't have to worry about anything besides just
really
the drawing and writing.
If they just don't like money at that point. It's like right in front of your face. It's like, how do you not take that free cash?
Having the path be a comic book is a great little serial thing, because every issue you pretty much start it up, they find someone, they kind of save them, maybe it covers 2 issues, 3 issues, but it would be a great serial thing to put out.
Serial Jedi during the Galactic Civil War, early Galactic Civil War, about Jedi, with Asajj leading the charge with Quinlan. I mean,
you have the 2 most gray Jedi that have ever Jedi.
And then you could easily implement Obi-Wan in there.
Yeah.
He could show up occasionally in issues. Darth Vader can show up.
That would be if Quinlan shows up on his doorstep like, "Hey, we need some help. There's another Jedi on Tatooine we're trying to smuggle off." And then Asajj shows up and he's like, "Bitch, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "Calm down."
They could easily have appearances with Darth Vader.
Yes.
The Inquisitors for sure.
Dude, that would be so cool to watch Quinlan Vos and Asajj take down like a few random Inquisitors that they could introduce just to kill.
It's literally, you're hating money at that point. You don't make the comics.
We're writing the story for you right now.
You could literally make it just a bunch of pictures, and that's all you got to do.
That's it. I'm going to have to get in contact with those people that I know at Disney, since we love Disney so much and we're obviously shills. I'm going to get a contact with our handlers and we're going to make this comic.
I'm going to just email them the subject.
Yeah.
Free money.
Free money.
There's a lot of fans out
free
there
money,
that
not
easily
spam.
Go into that. Especially the comic people like you that are big into the comics right now. That would easily sell.
And people who didn't like comics that much but just love Asajj would buy it.
And at that time, like I said, you could add Darth Vader.
Yep.
You could even add bounty hunters looking for Jedi, where they're trying to sneak the Jedi in the Jedi Underground Railroad.
Because then imagine that we get Asajj
you could have Boba Fett and Cad Bane show up.
Bro, imagine Asajj Ventress has to re-talk to Boba Fett. The last time they saw each other, she knocked him out and put him in a crate.
Yeah, you could have the reintroduction of those 2. You could have the other lineup of the bounty hunters too. You could have Bosk and all those. You could even have Cal Kestis show up. They wouldn't do it, but he can even be a part of this. They ain't got the
balls for that. They ain't got the cojones. They're gonna keep Cal locked behind video games for at least another decade, or something stupid.
Until EA is done with them.
Yeah.
Apparently they're not.
I really hope that we get to see more, because Cal Kestis, Ezra Bridger, Quinlan Vos, Asajj Ventress, and Rey. those are some Jedi Masters that would make a crazy awesome Jedi Temple.
The Star Wars is female.
Yeah, the Force is
female.
female.
The Force is female.
Yeah, the Force is female. Let's go. Force has big knockers. Where it spreads its life juices to all of the universe. The future of Star Wars is anything but bleak. It is anything but boring, and it is anything but woke. It is just what it is. It's what it's always been. It's just a lot of people are noticing it for the first time, and apparently they're angry for some reason. So it's gonna be great. It's going to be fine. There's going to be more Asajj. We're going to have more awesome moments, and we're going to have more things that we kind of go, "What the hell was that?" It's media. It's what happens.
Yeah, and your dislikes only fuel the views.
Oh yeah, dude. Bad press gives so much better like actual viewing than good press. So hate me, hate Mike, hate our opinions. Tell us about it. Let us know in the comments down below. That makes us happy. Go right ahead. I'm an easy target. I'm overweight.
Yeah, we could use Star Wars, more views.
Yeah, and we could use the more views too. So go ahead, hate bomb the hell out of the thing. To those of you that do stick around, though, thank you all so much for listening to the rants and raves of two madmen who just love Star Wars and the fact that it keeps coming out, and I hope it never stops coming out. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Truly, though, while you're liking and subscribing, go down to that comment section and let me know what your point of view on Asajj's return was and what you'd like to see from Asajj in the future of Star Wars. And always remember that the Force will serve you well.
May the Force be with you.